Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. We're going to be doing a little bit of Yin Yoga for the hips today. If you haven't done Yin before, know that it is a passive form of yoga. So you want to go to the point in the pose where you can still let go. If you feel your body protecting itself by clenching, you've gone a little too far, so back up a little bit. And what you'll find is that this place where you find that sweet spot will change over the hold of the posture. We're going to hold these postures a little longer than we hold more active yoga postures. So as you find yourself letting go more, let yourself sink deeper into the pose. If you ever feel like you need to back up, just back up. No big deal. We're going to get started with a really nice opener for the hips called Supta Baddha Konasana. This is a reclining pose, which I know everybody's always happy to hear. We're going to bring the soles of the feet together, and then we're going to lie back on our mats. Now, a few things that might make you a little more comfortable here. Sometimes if you move the flesh of your buttocks down towards your heels, that's more comfortable. You can also bring your heels closer to your groin or further away. The main thing is that you feel comfortable there. And you can also slide blocks underneath your legs. If you feel like you need just a little bit more help, slide your hands under the lowest part of your bottom, right where your bottom meets your legs, and that'll change the tilt of your pelvis for you. It'll make it a little bit more comfortable. Once you've made it into a position that feels good, all there is to do is relax. So let your eyes close or your gaze unfocus. And begin to scan through your body, noticing where you can let go. Letting your breath be natural and free. Letting yourself just take some time. Body the time it needs to open and let go. I'm going to spend about 5 more breaths here. To the end of that 5th breath, prepare to move with some integrity. Now, your hips have opened up a little bit, including the stretching of your inner thighs. So send your low back down towards the floor. That'll begin to shorten the inner thighs just enough that you can really activate them and slowly bring the legs all the way together, soles of the feet to the floor. And just take a moment there to feel how things might have begun to shift and change. When you're ready, roll yourself onto one side. And then go ahead and check out the other side before we come to our next reclining pose. Just settling the hips a little bit. So our first pose, Supta Baddha Konasana, really worked with the inner thighs, though you might have felt some of that in the outer hips. Our next pose really works with the outer hips. So arms nice and wide. We're going to do a twist, a perfect D here, but we're going to do twisted roots. So we're going to press our feet into the floor, shift the hips over to the left, and this is going to create less intensity for the spine. Cross your left thigh over the right, and then drop your knees over to the right. Now, as you do this, that back shoulder might pop up. That means you're going too far. Move your arm a little closer to your hips. Lay it back down. And you can always take a hand or a block underneath those legs so that your shoulder can drop back to the floor. And we're going to take a few breaths here, just resting. Remembering that as your body lets go, you can let yourself go deeper. Your awareness with all the sensations. to take about 5 more breaths here. So after that 5th breath, the first thing we're going to do is unwind our legs. And then we'll lift up one leg at a time to bring the soles to the floor and the hips back to neutral. Pausing here between sides. Giving yourself time to absorb what's changed. And then we're going to shift the hips over to the right and cross that right thigh over the left. And drop the knees over to the left. Again, check with that back shoulder, and if it's popping way up off the floor, take your arm closer to your hip for less strain there. Remember, you can also take that other hand and place it underneath your knees so that your knees don't twist quite so far. Find a place that feels good, and then just breathe. Watch, and let what happens happen. Taking 5 more breaths here. After that 5th breath, unwind your legs first and then bring one leg up at a time. Shift yourself to neutral and take a moment. Revisit those inner thighs with our next pose. So roll yourself onto one side and then press all the way up to seated. We're going to come from seated to all fours for frog pose. So bring your forearms to the floor so that your elbows are directly beneath your shoulders. And then you're going to walk your knees out wide to the side. You're looking for a 90-degree angle at the hip, the knee, and the ankle. So let your legs come as wide as it works for you. And then rather than really dropping your belly down, you're going to hold a little bit of tension here. Lift just your lower belly up so that you get a sensation of slight roundness in the low back. This will get you into those inner thighs, especially those short adductors that are very difficult to get to. Now, many of you will find it more comfortable to have a blanket underneath your knees, so go right ahead and do that. Some of you would probably enjoy having a bolster underneath your torso that you can hug. That's fine too. Wherever you are, let your head relax and let your breath and gravity do all the work. Taking 5 more breaths here. When you get to the end of that last breath, shift your hips forward, lifting your feet to come down to your belly, and then slowly bring your legs together. Taking a moment there. And pressing yourself to all fours. And we're going to come to Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold. So as you come onto your bottom, remember you can sit up on anything that makes you more comfortable. You can also take a rolled blanket underneath your knees if you prefer to have your knees bent when you're seated. You can move extra flesh behind you and out to the side. It will move it out of the way. It will also help prop you up. Relax your legs. Tilt forward from your hips. Remember, and this is about making your hips happy. And then let your back round and your head drop. Now note if you have disc issues or osteoporosis, you won't want to round your back. You want to keep your arms straight and let them support you in this posture so that your back is not rounding. Otherwise, gravity does it all for you here. Steady breaths, letting go, feeling all the sensations as we work into the back of the hips, so getting into our hamstrings and our glutes, helping all that fascia to the knees. Taking 5 more breaths. When you get to that last breath, prepare to move. Use your hands to press your torso up. And then take your hands behind you and lean back for a minute. And just let the posture absorb. We made it into the inner thighs, which tend to be a little bit tighter. So we did that twice. We got the outer hips. Now we've got the back of the hips, and we're going to move into the front of the hips next. Now as we move into the front of the hips, we're also going to be moving into that hamstring glute area again for many of you too. So we're going to come up onto our knees, and we're going to do a little bit of a lunge here. So we're going to step 1 foot forward, doesn't matter which one you start with, and make sure that your foot is well forward of your knee. If you like to pad under the back knee, go right ahead. And we're just going to take the hips forward and down. Now, if you take your hands to that front knee, you can hold the torso up. You'll get a little bit more opening through the front body. If you fold forward, bringing your hands down towards the floor, you'll get a little bit more through the back of the hip. So work where it works best for you. And remember, it's about letting go, using the least effort possible here. Allowing yourself to really feel the pull of gravity, but not to the point of pain or tension. We're going to take just about 5 more breaths here. Get to that 6th breath, you're going to press into the front foot to move your hips back. And then slowly bring that front foot back. You might sit back on your heels for a moment or stand on your knees. Let that first side sink in. And then we'll try that second side. So the other foot comes forward. Remember, you want your foot well forward of your knees so you have room to sink into. And take your hips forward and down. If you feel a little teetery, just walk that front foot out towards the long end of your mat. Remember, hands on the front knee to help hold the torso up with ease, or fold forward, bringing your hands to the floor. Different sensations with each one. Regardless of what you choose, let your breath be steady, be easy and free. And every opportunity you have to let go safely, let it go. And take 5 more breaths here. When you get to that 6th breath, press into your front leg, bring the hips back, bring that front leg all the way back, and let's all sink into a child's pose. So hips towards heels, knees together or apart, forehead to the floor, or your hands or a block. Using the symmetry of this pose to help your body integrate all that you've just done before, stretching all the sides of your hips. Now, you may find that some days you want to spend more time in some poses than others. That's all right. The longer you hold, the more open you'll feel. And sometimes that openness brings an instability. If you find that happens to you, then the next time you just don't want to hold it quite so long. You might find that that opening gives you access to muscles that maybe weren't working quite so well before. That's a sign that was a pose you should spend more time in. I recommend this short yin practice for anyone that is working on some hip opening and exploration. I recommend it maybe twice a week. That's a good amount of time to do it. If you do it every day, you might find rapid, radical change, and that can be hard in your regular life as you go about things like climbing upstairs. So a couple times a week is usually plenty. Integrate that into your regular yoga practice. It's a great way to begin a morning, however it works well for you. Try it out. Let me know how it goes in the comments. I would love to hear from you. If you have any questions, just ask. I'm happy to geek out about it for you. Have a most beautiful day. Thank you for joining me for your practice. Namaste. Jai Baba.